I am in the Firhouse shopping centre. Firhouse shopping centre? Is that what it's called? Right around the corner from our river of interest, the Dodder River, which leads up to the very well known and infamous Dodder Weir. That was a lot of adjectives. So, a weir. Probably a word that you've never come across before in your life, unless if you heard the words weird or weirdo, which is something that I've been commonly called when I was growing up, and still am to this day. But my personal life aside, a weir is essentially a low dam that is built across a river to raise the level of the water upstream or to regulate its flow. This is something that I never knew before until I looked up Google Maps and noticed that my maps in Korean called this river the Dodder Weir. I was like, what? So I looked it up, looked into it, and turns out, yeah, this is actually a weir. Upon discovering that the word weir actually exists, I decided to look it up, and hence the aforementioned definition is what came up. But this made me question. That means that this piece here, this weir as we were to call it, was actually man-made. And turns out, yes, it was. You see, many centuries ago, the Dublin area was supplied by the River Potter. And back in the early 13th century, the River Potter was too small to actually supply the growing city that was Dublin. Hence, before the year 1244, monks came down and settled and built this weir here to increase the water flow or divert the water flow or something. I did my research out of one source, so please spare me. And then at around 1244, the locals came by to make some adjustments to increase the water flow. That is pretty much the history behind it. There's not too much extra that I would add that really fascinated me. And because that's all there is to it. There are many weirs just like this around the world. There is nothing too significant about it, except it is very significant for the locals that live around the Firhouse and greater area. You see, I grew up in the Firhouse area, and when I first discovered this, I thought it was a landmark, a hidden gem in the beautiful nature scene that is Firhouse. And many other locals know it the same. But not once did I ever question its origins or its history. I just always assumed that this was like this millennia ago. And turns out it's not. Or even 1 millennia ago, this wasn't here before. One of my friends is a relatively new local to the area, and I keep trying to encourage her to come down here someday and just relax and chill, like I always had many years ago during my days in secondary school, which weren't that long ago. I'm making myself out to be a lot older than I actually am. By trying to help others grow and allowing them to discover and experience new things, you may also inadvertently learn something new yourself and build a new experience for yourself. And the audio is just a little bit hampered.